name's Heather. Welcome to my channel. Thank you for watching, liking, sharing and subscribing. I hope you enjoy the insights here. It's a general reading. Take what works for you. It may also apply to someone you are close to at this time. If you have strong influences in your birth chart associated with another sign, then please feel free to cross-watch to my other videos. I have shuffled the cards and laid them out, and so let's begin. I deal with the 12 houses of the zodiac, and the cards that appear in each house are bringing influences in at this time. So in your first house you have Yod, which is it's a destiny card, and the first house is everything to do with your body, your physical appearance, what you project outward to others, how you are perceived by others, how you influence others, and it's basically the self, internal and external, and your characteristics, your personality, all those sorts of aspects. Now, this is a destiny card, it's a fate card, so you may just be feeling at this time that you are having to go it alone, that you're actually having to dig for your own truth when it comes to perhaps how you are projecting yourself, or how you are making your way in the world, your path forward, how you want to be seen by others. You may just be feeling that you have to do some deep digging to actually pull out what is right for you. You're not going to get much advice and support from others. This is pretty much a going alone kind of an aspect. It can be a little bit stressful, and there's going to be quite a lot of tension because this aspect actually brings tension in. So you may just be feeling a little bit stressed at this time. It could also just be possibly about your actual physical body or your vitality. You may just be feeling strained right now. And if it's your physical body that you're concerned about, there may be some physical issues which you need to address before you can move forward with power, to actually resolve issues and move forward. And it could be autoimmune issues, allergies, that kind of thing. So if it's a physical regime that you're perhaps undertaking, starting a new physical program of some sort, you may have to address certain things before you can move forward. And if it's perhaps a new undertaking that you want to do, a new physical regime, and you're just you just need to work it out for yourself, what's going to be right for you. Don't overdo it. Don't set yourself impossible standards, because you're already going to be feeling a little bit stressed in this situation. So don't aggravate it by being overly burdensome in what you need to do. But you're going to have to do your own research and do a little bit of self-reflection to work out how best to move forward. This is going to come back in again later on when we deal with relationships as well, because how you are projecting yourself outwards affects your relationships. It affects just about everything in your chart, but it's going to come in there. I feel that in your chart there are two main themes here. It seems to be work-related and relationship-related, and sometimes they can be joined. So that will come in later. Then in the second house we have Mercury, mind. This is coming into your money house, your income house, and it's all about possessions, what you own, what you value, and land, real estate, property of all kinds. And with this card, it's ruled by, Mercury rules it. So Mercury is the planet of communication, and it's the planet of electronics and technical advances, or just technical instruments, that kind of thing. So it depends how you want to apply it, but basically you may just be asked to bring in the Mercury faculties, which is reasoning, and looking at all forms of communication, and quick-witted, quick thinking, and flexible as well. Being flexible, using your mental faculties to actually work on the various issues that are covered by this house. So it's a quick moving, restless energy. Yeah, it could also be something to do with, you may have to, when it comes to your income, perhaps you need to communicate about it. You need to actually speak up about issues to do with that. It could be in conjunction with your job, your career, which is coming up again. So maybe you need to ask for something. You need to be clear about what you want to achieve when it comes to your monetary goals and your values, what you value. And you could also be a little bit changeable in that. You could be umming and ahhing about things, or sort of changing your mind from one day to the next. So when it comes to monetary issues, you need to be clear about what you want and your goals, and then also when it comes to what you own and so on. And you may just be wanting to purchase new electronics or upgrade your phone or something like that, which is going to assist you in these areas. Or just could be using technology in different ways now. Maybe you want to buy a property and this is coming into it. You've got to now search on the internet and use the internet in different ways. There's lots of different ways that this can manifest for you. But it's all essentially about communication. Then we have in the third house, Uranus, which it brings in the genius factor. But Uranus is also about incredible lightning bolt change. So it can be wonderful and incredible, and it can also be an incredible upheaval, a real shock. So when it comes to Uranus, you've got to look at it from all of those sides, and it's coming up in your third house, which is all to do with communication, and that's verbal, written, and your body language as well. How you are actually communicating on all levels with other people. It can be on a smaller scale, sort of with your immediates, and also on a global scale. Perhaps you're being asked to now broaden your reach and what it is you're actually saying, because Uranus is a generational planet. So it's harnessing the genius within, and this often comes about through massive upheaval and change, a real shock. So try and approach any changes or upheavals that are occurring in this area of your life with care. And you may just feel at a loss initially, but always remember any of these planetary influences, and especially with Uranus, that quick sudden change is to basically lever you out of some way of being and into a new way of being, because it's necessary. The change is necessary, it's required, and it's for the greater good. It's for your greater good. So it depends how heavily you are entrenched in your current way of doing things, how heavily you are invested in that, and perhaps ways that you've been so used to just working for you, they're not going to work for you anymore. You've now got to grow and change and actually adapt. And so that is what its ultimate aim is for you. It's an erratic energy. It can be very unconventional, eccentric, far-reaching, visionary. And it's also advanced tech. So when it comes to your communication, you're going to be using all of those aspects, or you're going to be asked to use all those aspects to get your message out quicker, faster, much more visionary. There's much more. It's bigger than you've ever experienced before. And if you're moving in your career and changing something, this is going to be really relevant. It also, the third house also covers contracts of all kinds, legal contracts. So just be aware that you may have to bring your genius faculties into that. You're a water sign, so your primary base is feeling and intuition. So and sensing things. So you may be sensing something and need to act on it quickly, or a change will come about to force you to do that. Also, the third house deals with siblings, aunts, uncles. So you could be having some kind of event going down to do with them, and it centers around communication, or you may have to communicate. There's lots of ways that can come about. This third house also covers short journeys. So you may have to make an unexpected journey very quickly somewhere. This is not long distance, this is more local, sort of quicker journeys. And yeah, it's also learning as well. And you know, you may have to, like I said, you may have to learn new tech. You may have to upgrade your learning skills. Then in the 4th house, we have Taurus. This is your 4th house, which deals with the home and your roots, your identity, your ethnic identity, your foundation that you came up out of in your life. And so Taurus is a very grounding, very stabilizing sign. So you could be experiencing that in your home life. It's also very earthy, so you may be wanting to improve your garden, spend more time in the garden. There's lots of ways that can apply, but it's also a building house. It's practical, it's methodical, it's stubborn, it's earthy, it's loves sensuality, loves a little bit of luxury. So and comfort, nurturing, all of those lovely things. So you may want to, if you're changing your home, or you may just be stabilizing your home life or bringing something in which is going to bring you stability. But ensure that you make your castle, your home, your castle, where it's going to comfort and nurture you. It's a lovely, stable place. It feels safe and secure. You're going to need to do that because this is your foundation. So this is going to be the bedrock upon which everything else comes from. So if you are feeling stable and secure in your home, and it's stable and grounded, then that's going to give you a tremendous amount of security in all the other areas of your life. So it's a very important aspect. It could also be that you may need to bring a bit of artistic flair into your home, make it beautiful, and an enriching place for you to be. Yeah. Okay. Then we are now in the 5th house. We have Neptune. It does indicate sacrifice. It indicates many other things as well, which I'll now cover. Your 5th house is your house of creativity. It's your house of children, love affairs, romance. Recreation of all kinds, sport, it could be yoga classes, whatever, and just having fun, fun of all kinds. It's also gambling, if that's your thing. So now, in your 5th house, you've got Neptune appearing there. Yes, it can bring sacrifice in. So this could be either you are sacrificing for your children, or your children are going through some sort of phase which requires sacrifice, but you're going to be experiencing it in some way. And it could also be in a relationship, a love affair that is now starting, where you may have to do away with certain things in order to move the relationship forward, or just to work together it's the beginning stages of a relationship, of a love affair. So this is all about connecting. Neptune is all about connecting to your divinity, and it could be a divine partnership as well. So it's all about establishing that. It could also be a little bit of confusion and basically lack of boundaries. So beautiful, wonderful, enlightening, very spiritual kind of relationship, but also be careful you don't lose your boundaries or lose your way or lose your sense of direction and be sort of absorbed into it. It could also be that you're attracting somebody who is Neptunian like yourself, because you're Pisces, so Neptune is your home planet. So you could be attracting another person like that, and be experiencing yourself reflected back at you. So it's also where it's where you're vulnerable. So it could be a wonderfully beautiful relationship. So it could be the love of your life, or it could be full of illusion, smoke and mirrors, very confusing, lack of boundaries. So there's that sort of dual element there. Or you could just be a little bit of both, feeling incredibly in love, but at the same time feeling like you're losing your footing a little bit. So it's a case of, working your way through that, or your children could be going through that, or you as a parent are just having to put certain things aside for yourself in order to address certain issues with your children. It could also be allergens coming up. Your children may be suffering from a few things to do with that. It could also be this Neptune does also rule drugs and addictions, alcohol, that kind of thing, any kind of escapism. It does bring that in, so you'll have to just see how that's going to appear for you. And the fifth house also deals with creativity. So if you are in a work situation and you're working on creative projects, it's wonderful to access the higher qualities of Neptune, which is imagination, that dreaminess, sort of tapping into the divine, fantasy, that kind of bringing all that in. It's wonderful for writing and for filmmaking and for appreciating the arts. All of those have a place with Neptune. And in the fifth house, which is your house of creativity, you may be asked to bring that in, or you're just naturally tapping into it. So if you're writing a book, or you're going to be doing some creative project where those wonderful finer qualities are required, then this is going to be a very good thing for you. Or it could be that your children are having to do that. And you being a Neptune ruled a Pisces, you may very well be able to transmit that to your children and lead them in that direction. Then we have in the sixth house, you have South Node. The South Node is all about karma, past lives, and just the past in general. So if you are a person who's tracking past lives, or you have an interest in it and you'd like to explore it a bit further, this is definitely coming up for you. It could also just be your past in this life, what has gone on. The sixth house deals with all things to do with your work projects, your craftsmanship, your mastering your craft. It's your workplace, your work colleagues, everything to do with that. And it's also to do with health and diet, and also to do with pets. So you may have a pet leaving you or coming back to you, which feels very familiar. It's a different looking pet, but it will have familiar sort of characteristics, reminds you of another pet, very relevant. If it's to do with the health, again, it's allergies, again, is coming up, and there could be various issues sort of rising to the surface. It could also be ailments to do with a past life. So if you're interested in that and you want to explore, find a trusted therapist or somebody who can assist you with that, or just do a little bit of self-exploration. But it's also about putting an end to things that you have perhaps doing in your health and your diet which are no longer serving you. So it's one door closing and another one opening. It could be a very rapid, quick change, very unsettling. But you have to put those things to bed. You have to actually solve unresolved things. You have to end things, find resolutions to things which have dogged you in the past, because you need to move forward. The South Node is all about the past. You need to, but you can't reach your future. You can't embark on your current life mission if you're bringing baggage in from before. So it's about clearing out that baggage and distributing, sending it off, discharging it from your psyche, from your life, closing the door on that and moving forward with confidence. Because once you do make that step in the right direction, then it will be great. It's a form of transformation. It's a very powerful transformation. If it's to do with work, again, all of those things apply. I feel it's changing what you have been doing in the past. So this is going to be leaving your comfort zone. So if it's past lives of you come in with those skills, you pick up those talents and skills again when you return, and you will feel very comfortable doing those things. You'll be very comfortable in that, but it kind of stifles your growth, and that's what you don't need to do that. You don't need to do that. In every lifetime, you must be achieving some goal or moving forward in another direction, which is what you set before you come here. So it's all arranged already, and the longer you linger in the past, then it prevents you from moving forward. And this card is going to come along, or this aspect is going to come along and absolutely blitz whatever it was out of your life and force you to put it aside and to deal with it, end it, and move forward as quickly as possible, because it's necessary growth and movement forward, projection forward. So it could be that you are, as I said, changing workplace, or you're changing the way you do things, the way you work, your work projects. You can't take things, you can't move forward currently as is. You're going to have to transform it and move forward. Yeah, it's quick, it's rapid, it's a very unsettling change. So go with it, work with that energy as much as possible. The sixth house is also the house of service. So if you are in service work, you may tend to be attracted to things over and over again, the same ways of doing things, the same kinds of work, and you're going to be asked to move forward in a different path now. Then in the seventh house, you have Mars, which is force. Mars is the god of war. It's a very action-oriented, fiery planet. It's the get things done planet. It likes to be the leader. This is when you go after what you want, Mars is how you get it. So it's falling in your relationship house, which is all love relationships, obviously, and it's partnerships, close partnerships between couples. It's also partnerships in business. It's one-on-one relationships, all your one-on-one relationships, your close personal relationships. And so you're either being too aggressive and too demanding in that, or you are being asked to bring in those elements, especially if you are you've been in a love affair which has dissolved your boundaries somewhat and caused some confusion. The seventh house is the next phase of the relationship. So the fifth house is the romance and the having fun and journeys, journeys into that. And the seventh house is all about the next phase, the more committed, serious partnership. So you may just need to. Hello Pisces, sorry your video got cut off just the last part, so I'm just going to tack this on to the end. I didn't notice until I was checking the recording. So I'm just going back to, we got up to the seventh house, which is your house of relationships. This is all close one-on-one personal relationships. It can be business partnerships and your committed love relationship. We have Mars, which is force appearing in there. Mars is the god of war and the god of action. So because it's coming up in your relationship house, there's probably work to be done when it comes to your most committed personal relationships. Either you have to put boundaries in and take action, or you are being a little bit too forceful perhaps in your demands, or your actual relationship with your significant other. So you may have to make a decision, you may have to take action on something, you may have to put boundaries in, and this could very well apply if you are in fact or you have entered at some point in the past a relationship which was wonderfully Neptunian and enlightening and beautiful, with lots of dreamy romantic energy, but you may have felt a bit selfless in that. And if this relationship has now moved on to the next level and it's becoming much more serious, then there may be boundaries which need to be put in, or just some kind of taking action on a relationship, perhaps even if it's a relationship that has now become really serious and you would like to make it much more serious or take it to the next level. It's take action, take leadership, and actually protect your relationship. It could also be that you might have to fight for something. You might have to fight for your relationship, or fight for the principles of your relationship or your own principles within that relationship. And this may very well be the case if, as I mentioned earlier, in your house of self, you had the destiny card, and you had where it's finding your own truth and moving yourself forward in your own way with very little support or advice. So this card often can make you feel like you are different from others, you are out of step with others, that you are literally carving your own path, and you can just be perceived as being different from others, and you're cutting your own way through what can be quite a difficult path. So if that is the case, that is how you're going to be projecting yourself outwards, and that's going to affect your close personal relationships. So you could be really moving towards a goal, and this Mars in your 7th house is actually going to assist you with that. As I said, it could actually be a business partnership as well. So you could be commanding how it is that the business and the relationship that you're in is moving forward. Moving on from that, then we go into the 8th house. The 8th house is the follow-on from the 7th. So I feel it is perhaps taking the relationship to the next level. And so therefore, when you do that, you now move into the realm of Libra, which is the house which governs the house of relationships. Libra rules the 7th house normally. And so it's actually all about combining your resources, your emotional and your physical resources, in a deeper relationship. So it's almost like there's a progression here. This is also can be, as I said, business relationships as well. So you may be actually looking at harmonizing and merging your resources. So this is a deeper commitment, and you're going for harmony in that. You're actually Librans like to find the middle ground. They like to take to negotiate with all parties and come to a decision or a way forward, which is a happy place for everybody. So this is the goal of all Librans. They make excellent politicians in that way. So it's all about that. It's about finding harmony between your needs and your partner's needs, and laying a really good foundation. This rules the 8th. This is in the 8th house. It's a very powerful house. It's a house of sex, and it's a house of death and rebirth. So it's the ending of one way and the birth of another, or the closing of one door and the opening of another. It can also be symbolic of ego death, and then moving forward into a more harmonious way of being. And so there's all these issues come into play when you are making a deeper commitment with somebody. This 8th house also represents big finance. So this is investments, insurances, tax, accounting, and it can be, as I said, the merging of finance and the separation of finance. It's also the things like legacies and inheritances and so on. Legalities come in around that. The 7th house is also the house of the lower courts, but it kind of comes in here as well, because you're now merging things. You're now writing documents up to merge your resources. And its 8th house is also the house of other people's money. So that is, if you're managing other people's money, then you're going to be asked to come up with a good plan which is going to work for everybody. And so there could be sort of a death of something and the rebirth of something else, but it's always something that rises from the ashes of the previous state. So it's also this. It could also be counseling. You may be coming in using that as part of your relationship, or part of your dealing with other people's money. It's counseling them on various issues and so on. So, but always Libra is also about finding the beauty in everything. So even if you're entering into a relationship, a business relationship with a partner, it's all about bringing that harmony and that beauty in, and you may be investing in beautiful things. There's various ways that can come about. but it's the deeper connection when you're combining resources. In the ninth house, you have Virgo, I analyze. So this is coming in, your ninth house is all about international travel. It's about dealing with import and, like a foreign import, export, dealing with people in foreign countries. And it's also about publishing, promotional work, higher education, that's like adult education or university education. It's also to do with like promotion work, as I say, and that could come in with the publishing. It's also about religion, your belief systems, philosophy. So yeah, it's exploration and adventure as well. That's the ninth house. So you've got Virgo coming in there, which as I analyze, and I think it's all to do with getting organized. So if you are going on a trip overseas, or you're wanting to plan something like that, it is all about that. It's about planning, it's about the detail, it's about looking at how you're going to go about it, what you're going to do, where you're going to travel, and planning things as best as possible. Just getting organized, getting your paperwork sorted out. It's just getting organized and analyzing the situation and coming up with a plan, and sifting through various aspects. It's also it also brings in writing. So if it's publishing or promotional work, you may be being asked to bring that into that house. And it's all about detail. The devil's in the detail. Virgos are, as I said, analytical, earthy people, but they also like order and neatness, and they also are quite fussy about their diets and their nutrition and so on. So within this ninth house, for instance, if you are going to be traveling, take into consideration perhaps any allergies you have a little medical aid kit, or just have a few things on hand, so that if you, and be careful about what you eat and so on. Look after your body and look after yourself as you are traveling around, because medical and health things can come in with Virgo. So make sure you've got your medical insurances sorted and so on. It could also be that that you'll be doing written work like publishing, where you want to write something. Then Virgo is wonderful for that. Can make you really good at putting down what you're thinking, from thinking onto paper. And it could also just be don't allow the Virgoan tendency to worry overly, or get so obsessed with details to come in. So that's also a factor. You could also say be studying something further, or going deeper into your belief systems and your religion. It's also the house of teaching. So if you're a teacher, then you're going to have to bring the Virgo qualities in. So there's detail there. There's a lot of aspects to look at, finding the negative and the positive. So Virgos are sometimes accused of being nitpickers, but that's their job, is to look at the detail. So that is the aspect for the ninth house for you. Then we have the 10th house. You've got Jupiter return, which brings many, many benefits in. It's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful card to be having in your 10th house. It's the house of career. It's the house of ambition, authority figures even. It's the house of your reputation and your public status and fame. So, yeah, so earlier on we discussed that there probably are changes to your work and how you are communicating. There's going to be sudden change there. There's change indicated there. And you're going to have to think and talk about your income and so on. So there's a great deal of aspects here which are indicating some kind of shift in your career or your life path, whatever it is you're choosing to do. It's going to be, this is wonderfully beneficial for you. So you could be receiving sort of like gifts, pennies from heaven, or just some kind of wonderful opportunity that comes to you. because it's a Jupiter return, it means it's coming back. Jupiter takes about 12 years to work its way around the zodiac. So it could be something that you were working on previously from the past, which is now coming back for you again, even if it was an idea that never took off, or something that you used to do and now it's coming back, but it's going to be much better. So because now you're older, you've got more experience, you've figured a few things out, so now things will probably gel, but it's really a very beneficial influence to move you forward. So it's almost like you've got the green light, the doors are swinging open, and the path is now in front of you. But as I say, it could also be just gifts dropping in your lap. And so don't allow, if something should come to you like that, don't allow it to pass you by. Don't think, oh, it's something that I used to do or something from the past. Look at it, go into it in more detail, and actually assess for yourself. You might have to make a very quick decision because Mercury is sitting in your house of income and money and so on, because this is going to, it's all to do with that. So it's going to bring benefits in. You might have to make a quick decision and move on it, especially if you've got Uranus in your third house as well. You may have to say something, you may have to do something to grab that opportunity with both hands. But when it comes to you, you must go with it and actually ride it as far as you can. Because it could just be a really quick and sudden thing that occurs for you, and you don't want to overlook it because it really is an opportunity of a lifetime for you. It could also be that if you are dealing with authority figures, they could be larger than life. Jupiter is larger than life. Or it could be that you are meeting people that were beneficial for you before, or that will be beneficial to you going forward. You may know them from the past. They may be coming back as well. So that's a very good indicator, and it's a wonderful. It's like as I say, the green light, the door opening for you, and you really are on your way with this card. Then following on from that, 10th house, you're moving now into the 11th house, which is all to do with your friendships and your networks, your associates, the people that you are mixing with in your clubs and your groups, and the associations that you're making there, and the networking that can go on. So if you are going through a beneficial period in your career and making other changes, then likewise your networks and your groups and your associations that you're now moving forward into, you may be making new ones, you may be searching for deeper meaning in your groups and your clubs, but it's a watery aspect to be having, and it's all about using your intuition and your instincts and going with the flow. You may be participating in group activities which requires you to use those faculties, which is the feeling aspect, and it's also to have faith. So because you've got a lot of you are a Pisces as it is, so this will bring in aspect of faith and aspects of connecting to a higher power. So whatever your interests and hobbies are, that's also covered by the 11th house. So it's all about your ideals and your interests and your hobbies and your futuristic visions, if you're interested in that, your dreams. And it's also about social consciousness, global consciousness. So there may be social reforms that you want to get involved in, and therefore you join a group or you join associations to do with that. You may be doing service work, or you may be moving into that, or you may just be very interested in something, and now you've picked it up as an interest and you're moving forward with it. But it's kind of formless. Pisces is formless, so you'll just go with the flow and you'll enjoy. Make the best use of the lovely, imaginative and deeper spiritual connections that Pisces bring in, and you will naturally be like that in any case. So you may just feel really at home, feel like yourself in those groups and clubs. It could also be, as I said, to do with friendships. You're going to have to look at the aspect of either you are coming across as being a bit of a drain in some of your friendships, or some of your friendships are becoming a bit of a drain on you. It's that kind of interaction, just see that you're not becoming a poor me, or that you are, not weighing heavily on others. And likewise, you may be experiencing that with others. It's all about what crowd you move in, the people that you associate with. Are they good for you or aren't they? You're going to have to assess that and come to that decision. Because Pisces is a kind of, as I said, a formless, go with the flow. They feel their way through, but it could also be, it's also the sign of self-undoing. So just be aware that about the people that you surround yourself with. So if you are part of a network or a club or a group, or you've got a friendship which is weighing heavily on you and draining you, then you need to release that and look for other opportunities to grow and learn. So just be aware of that. The company that you keep, and the people that are in your emotional groups, because you are a Piscean and because you absorb so much, you don't want to be sort of losing your own your strength and your own particular boundaries. You don't want to be sort of losing yourself in a friendship, or losing your way. You need to be having support and good friendships, supportive people around you who get you and who are going to support you in whatever it is you do. Then in the 12th house you have solar eclipse, which is a revolution. So this is your home house, the 12th house. So this is all about the unconscious. It's also about retreat, withdrawal, meditation, and the sanctuary within, solitude and reflection, mysticism, healing, and it's also the house of escapism. It's the house of drugs and addictions. It's also the house of finding resolutions and endings of things. So it also is the house of karma. There's quite a lot of karma in that house. So with solar eclipse revolution appearing there, this is a sudden jolt of some sort. This is a very sudden ending and a new beginning. And it's going to force you to let go of the past and stay in the present. Because you can only create your future from the present. You can't create it from the past. You can't create it from past experience. It's gone. So whatever baggage you may have or issues you may need to just deal with in yourself, it's subconscious things, subconscious motivations and drives, it's deeper psychology, that you need to embody the revolutionary aspects of this, and you're going to be forced. If you don't approach it yourself, then you will be brought to the place where you have to deal with it. So it's about putting things to bed and moving forward. It could feel very uncomfortable, and it could also just be to do with your karmic inheritance. There's stuff from before that it's like baggage which you need to release now and move on. And I feel this is coming in again with your 6th house, with the South Node, life states. That's leaving your baggage behind and moving forward. It's kind of, it's kicking in with this as well. And these houses are opposite each other. So the 12th house is opposite the 6th. And these two influence each other. So it's about dealing with unconscious beliefs that you may have about yourself or about your own particular life path. You will need to do solitude and reflection, but it's revolution. So it's basically turning something over or turning something around in order to move yourself forward. It's like a revolt, an inner revolt as well, to throw something off and move forward. And so harness the 12th house. If you need to do a little retreat or withdrawal, or to take some time in solitude and reflection, or even if you want to follow, find deep healing through various avenues. There are lots of ways to find that for yourself, whether you do it yourself or you find somebody who can help you with it. But there is going to be change, and there is going to be deeper healing that you need to bring about in order to move yourself forward. All right, Pisces, apologies again for the truncated video, but Enjoy the rest of your month, and I will chat to you again soon. Take care.